Tell me what the hell are you scared of when in the end the only
Where's the love? Right here on this podcast. Welcome to Love Drops, where your hosts and One Love ambassadors, Charles and Diane, will share love, hope, and inspirational topics taken from their journey and world events. We will also include on-location recordings and special pop-up guests from cool places all around the world. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
whether big or small, love never fails. Oh, love it conquers all. Love never fails.
Welcome to another episode of Love Drop Podcast, and we are so excited to be recording once again from Lyon, France. And our guest today is someone that I met through a LinkedIn connection, Sarah Jane, shout out. And we are very excited to get started. And I'm going to pass it over to Charles to bring our guest to the mic. Charles.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you. And our guest today is a totally unique individual. I can't wait for our audience to hear about him and what he has to say. His name is Dorian. I will not even attempt to say the other parts of his name. I don't want to mess it up at all. It's very unique. And with that said, I'm going to turn the mic over to our friend Dorian so he can tell you his name and some things about himself. With that said, Dorian, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Charles, and thank you, Diane, for having me. I'm very excited about this opportunity to share some time with you and to tell you a little bit about my journey. I'm 65 years old, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I've had 6 businesses before my current one, and my life was going along beautifully from the outside, but terribly on the inside. I came to this place of being lost on my way, and my life was crashing and burning. And so I was withdrawing, I was depressed, I was dancing in the dark with people that weren't good for me, doing things that were heading me in the wrong direction in my life. And came the big crash, and then the universe started talking to me. Actually, my spirit's been talking to me forever. I just didn't know that and wasn't listening. I started listening. And then at the depths of my depression, the universe spoke in my ear and said, Dorian, go to Costa Rica. Now, I've traveled much of the world, and Costa Rica was the only place for me to go. So I left my company. I was in the process of a divorce. I sold my home, my car, gave away most of my things, and I did the all in, and I left everything about my life. I got a new phone, a new email address, a couple of suitcases, and I came to the jungles of Costa Rica and moved into a treehouse 20 feet in the air on a platform with no walls. Comfortable, mind you, but no walls. Very different from anything I've experienced before in my life. Living in the canopy with nature around me and no one. And so I did the deep dive of going in, and what I learned was to control my inputs. That was the first thing the universe taught me. And so I listened to Jason Mraz's Look for the Good album for 6 weeks and worked on brainwashing myself to the goodness of life. And then I was going to do this for a month, and I started realizing I need more time. And so I stayed in the jungle for 5 months and started finding my way. And I've been on a journey of self-discovery, and I have found my way home.
Right now, so before we get ahead of ourselves in that finding, one of the big things that we discussed, before coming on air is just that power of forgiveness, right? The power of forgiveness and how your life will be good from that. So in that self-discovery and in that finding yourself, forgiveness played a big role. And so let's put in reverse a little bit and talk about that.
Sure. Forgiveness, not a big role, the role.
Yeah.
So I had an abusive childhood, physical, sexual, psychological abuse, and that impacted me for my whole life. And I was a victim. And things happened to me, and then I developed that personality of a victim mindset. And I perfected that. So when the thing about when you're a victim, things happen to you, and then people come to your aid. And when you do this for a long period of time, it becomes part of who you are. And you can then start to manipulate people to do the things that you want, often at a subconscious level. But we do that in that victim mode. And so I blame the world. I blame people for all of these things that happened to me, because if these people didn't do these things to me, my life wouldn't be like it is, was how I viewed the world. And so I viewed the world as a victim. What I learned in my awakening is there is no such thing as victim. This is my journey solely. And so I started, instead of having hatred, I learned to stop hating. One day where I was so mad at my husband, I was so mad, I was yelling and screaming. We were separating and I was at home by myself and I was throwing so much hatred at him. And then I looked at my watch and go, wait, it's 10:30 in the morning. He's in the operating room. He's not feeling any of this stuff. And that's when I realized hate is a self-inflicted wound. All of our negative emotions are self-inflicted wounds, and we wound ourselves again and again and again, and we have these experiences, and then we keep remembering them. We bring them back again and again and again, and we think about them, and we hold on to them, and the more we think about them, the more they live in our life, in our mind, in our body. And so over time, I learned to start to forgive. And the power of forgiveness, Diane and Charles, is the most powerful force that I've ever experienced in my life. It is the ultimate form of self-love, because forgiveness is something we do for ourselves. Because what happens is when I'm having these negative thoughts, my past becomes my present. My meat suit is, my body is walking meat suit, going through space and time, and I'm here, but I'm thinking about the things of the past. So my being isn't here. My body, my meat suit is here, but I'm back at this event again and again and again. And so as I go through my day, my week, my month, my year, my life, I spend a lot of my time in the past. And that's one of the things I realized, how the years seem to go by faster and faster and faster. I believe some of that is because we keep accumulating things about people, and we don't forgive, and we accumulate more and more, and we have more thoughts and experiences, and then we spend more and more time thinking about them, and then we have less and less time to be present in our life. Quick little example. If I have a negative thought, average it lasts about a minute and a half, and I have 10 of those an hour, in 1 year, if I'm awake for 16 hours a day, in 1 year, I have lost 3 months. I have 3 entire months of the year where I have no record, no knowledge, no memory of it whatsoever, because my meat suit was moving through space and time, but my mind and my being was back there on the things of the past. So by doing that, you're not here. You can be here at dinner in a conversation and your body's there, but your mind is gone. And somebody goes, Diane, Diane. And then you go, oh, wait, I'm sorry. What were we talking about? Lost. Never get that back. My experience with coming through the big thing, I had issues with the abuse with my father. And so I just wrote him out like he doesn't exist in my life. But that doesn't work because I can't deny him, because then it denies me, which was my MO for years. And that didn't work at all. And then in some of my work, I realized forgiveness is the key. And so I went on this whole journey of forgiveness. And a friend of mine said, it's a simple process. You'll know what to forgive. All of these things live in our heart. And our heart knows what freedom is from when we're young, before we're unburdened. And so we keep sending the messages up to our mind to forgive. And instead our mind, when the ego is like, oh, dude, this should have happened this way, or you were justified, or all this stuff. And then we put the thought back, being more brazen about it before. But when we stop doing that, so I had all this resentment about my father. And then what I learned was everything we think, feel, say, and do, we believe is right in the moment. And so with that truth, here's the window to how you can forgive. Imagine what went on in the perpetrator's life for them to believe that this is okay for them to be doing what they're doing right now. that little moment is when the Holy Spirit will let you go, oh, so they have trauma also. And so
Exactly.
that there has given me the window into what is going on with the other. And so that in turn allowed me to forgive. And then once I started to forgive, a shaman friend of mine, Nuri, said, you'll know what to do when the image of you comes up, when the memory comes up of you at whatever age. Reassure 14-year-old Dorian, dude, you're going to be okay because here I am today remembering you back there in time. Other, I forgive and release you for all time.
Mm.
And then she was describing this process, this energetic process of forgiveness, of how to energetically release that. And so I went up to my room and I sat on my bed and I picked up a piece of Moldavite and I felt my other hand come upon my chest. And I sat there and it's like watching a movie of all of these events of my life. I was just open because I'm not screaming, but praying, please, whatever I need to do, I want to heal. I want to be whole. I want in my life. And so I sat there, and then one by one, all of these events of my life, because I got through the big abuse and I thought that was it, and I still had issues. My friends like, oh, no, that was so big, it seemed like it was the only thing. But you have other traumas of your life. And so I sat there going through and remembering all of these things one by one by one. And then it stopped, and it's like this parade of life events. And then I woke up. It was about an hour and a half later, and my feet didn't feel like they touched the floor.
Wow.
Like I was in this place of being and love that I had never experienced before.
Okay, before you get to that place, I just want to just put a pin there for a second and just ask, were you able to physically feel the relief of the heaviness of all the hurt and pain that you have been carrying around once you did that forgiveness?
Yes, that's what I was alluding to. Like I didn't feel like my feet could touch the floor. I was so light of body, mind, and spirit. It's like I was moving above the earth and feeling like I'm in my Garden of Eden. It's a physical sensation, and my eyes and the world around me were very different. So I had this experience with a woman who was helping with the main issues with my father. And so forgiveness, and she had explained that the way I chose to live my life and forgiveness, that my father and others have moved into the light. And then I went back to the States, and I was at the beach where I used to go as a boy, and then with my friends as an adult. And I was meditating on the edge of the water and over this newfound relief of forgiveness. And then I went into the water. And I did some body surfing at the beach. I learned to do that. And then I got up out of the water and I just threw the water up in the air and I started laughing. And I looked up on the beach and I remember playing there on a beach as a boy.
Wow.
And that was the most profound moment in all of my forgiveness, because I had said I'm an adult survivor of child sexual abuse. And so that's all I saw in the world. I viewed the world that way. And what I learned is what I say I am, that is all your mind will let you have access to. And so, so long as I said I was that survivor, that's all I had was those images. And once I did this forgiveness thing, because my medium I was working said, I see you in the water. And it was that moment I threw the water up, all of the doors of my past opened up again. And I had free access to all the memories of my entire life, which were non-existent for 40 years. Wow. And so that was the biggest thing of my forgiveness, is I could see my life wholly, not fractioned and petitioned by the events and the traumas and all of those things in my life.
Wow, that is powerful. Very much so, Charles.
That is very powerful indeed. I can envision just what you were saying about throwing the water up in the air and going through that. Oh, wow. I could feel that. I could really feel that.
Yeah, like the breakthrough that came from it. And so just from personal experience, I know that once you get through that forgiveness and once you let it go, as so many things in life do, they'll try to come back and, jump back on your back or try to, come back up. So what were some of the things that you did to just maintain the consistency of letting it go and going on to the next chapter?
I changed my beliefs. I worked really hard on changing what I believe because we're trained from infancy to have a set of beliefs. Most of the beliefs that we all hold aren't our beliefs. They're things that people put into our minds. And so in this process of learning, this body is not who I am, that's all part of that whole process of not holding on to the past. And so I changed my beliefs because what you believe creates your behavior. And when you change your beliefs, the behaviors and everything correspondingly change with that. So I think that is the biggest thing I did is I worked on believing that I am a divine being, that I have powers that I didn't know that I had, and I've learned this sense of connection and oneness with everything.
Awesome. And once you were set in with that shift, how did your life become better? Once you forgave, so you have the life of hurt and pain, and then you have the life that is free and forgiveness. So how did your life become better in that lightness of forgiveness?
Life became better because I became present in my life. I'm here living my life in my meat suit, day by day, in my place. I'm not wandering through space and time like I did for decades here, but my mind is someplace else. And so I live life much more fully. Like when I walk to the waterfalls, I'm noticing everything, the sand under my feet, the birds in the air, the rustle of the leaves, the crashing of the waves. I'm just aware of all of the beauty around me. And I see most things in their beauty, and judgment has left. That was one of the things in most of my life. I judge people from being a victim. I judge. And then when I realized what is the line between observation and judgment, I found a lot of freedom in that. And so just letting people be who they are, because we have no way of knowing what is going on with anyone at any point in time.
That's so true.
Yes. And what I'm hearing is that you're living in the now, not the past.
Baby.
Yeah, just living in the now. Because I know with me personally, when I think on the past, it becomes somewhat depressing. When I think about the now, wow, it's adventurous, it's new, it's ongoing, it's in the now.
Yes, I was going to say there's a freedom. There's such a freedom in forgiveness, because what you realize is all the pain and hurt, it imprisons you. It's like you're stuck. You're stuck on a hamster wheel, replaying over and over, the pain. And it's like you cannot get out of it. And so even in your forgiveness, even if it means that you release those that hurt you, doesn't mean you have to have a relationship with the people that hurt you. But what it does mean is you have to release, giving them free rent in your head, in your body, in your being, to just continue the attacks. And one of the big things is, with pain and when others hurt us, we're sitting here holding on to it, and they have went on with their life.
Correct. And we keep track of that in our heart. That's where the secretary is, keeps record of all of these things.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
So I know that you had made mention, and I want to kind of bring it into the conversation of how you had issue just being with yourself, just being alone with yourself when you were still in that pain, and how coming out on the other side of forgiveness, how you were able to just sit and be with yourself. So to speak on that a little bit.
Sure. I didn't realize till I was here writing my book. In the middle, I wrote a chapter for Sarah's book, and that's how we first got connected. And so that was, I'm not being selfish. I've just become harder to manipulate. And I wrote a chapter in there that was so profound for me in writing it, because mine was, who's picking up the tab? What I did was I always picked up the tab. I was always the guy. Oh, there's a concert coming. I'll buy tickets. Let's go. Oh, want to go out? I'll pay. Whatever it is, I'm always the one like quick to do. And what I realized, and then when I stopped paying, like people stopped paying around. And then when I'd say like have all these pool parties and stuff, want to do people to do something with them, and I never get invites. And then I started realizing, wait a minute, I'm afraid to be alone. Things happened to me when I was a boy, when I was alone. And so my entire life, I've been afraid to be alone. And so I would do all kinds of things to not be alone. And I spent a lot of time and treasure doing that because I didn't want to be alone. And then when I came to this process of awareness first, allowance, acceptance, surrender, forgiveness, that's the journey. And then when I got there, I didn't need people around. Oh my God, I just kind of like love being by myself. And then I started, like when I was here, so the person never wanted to be alone. My solution was, okay, Dorian, go by yourself to Costa Rica in the jungle, in a platform treehouse with no one around. Talking about aversion therapy treatment. And it worked. And so like I paint now. I've never had enough peace in my mind and my soul to do anything. Once I got here in my journey, I started painting, and I love painting. And I like being alone in nature. There's a difference is I'm alone. I'm not lonely.
Yes.
That is a qualifying difference between being alone and being lonely. Many people are lonely in a crowd of 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be lonely all the time. And now I have a heavenly day almost every day now.
Wow, that is amazing. That is pretty awesome. And it puts a spotlight on just the creativity. Things begin to open up. Like you said, you're painting, you're able to focus on something other than the pain. And when you're able to do that, life begins to open up so beautifully for you.
Magical ways.
And oh yes, in magical ways. And I can say this, once we find the joy in forgiving ourselves, forgiving others, then a beautiful part of that is to spread that with the world. And so, just pass it on.
Yes, and I think you have found that through your paintings and expressing and sharing that with the world and others around you. And what I had picked up, what you were sharing about your earlier years, buying friends. As long as you were paying, all these friends are around, never realizing, hey, I'm buying friends. And now you have found you. And
correct.
Very happy with you and expressing, you're still sharing yourself with others through your paintings. You have a very giving heart there in letting folks see it and talk about it. And that's the
Thank you.
Enter Dorian. You're most welcome. And you express it very well in the painting that I saw. Wow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I was going to say that in your healing journey, you're using that creative outlet, that painting, to help others to get to their place of healing. And also, the place in which you are now in is also a beautiful healing retreat, so to speak. So, would you like to elaborate a little?
Sure. My life is a healing retreat. Part of my journey was to find my purpose, and my purpose is to teach people what I have learned in my awakening. And that's what I'm all about. And so one of the things I learned with the creativity is when we're creating, painting, or however you create, we're in our highest form of vibration. I remember struggling one day. I'm in the like, nobody loves me place. And I'm looking at my painting and I just want to be in my misery. And then the universe is like, Dorian, go paint. I'm like, no, I want to be miserable. Go paint. And so I finally went and painted. I sat down, it's 11:30, and the next time I looked at my watch, it was 4:30. The day just went. And so when we heal ourselves, we automatically help others, because as I heal, my vibration rises. And as my vibration rises, the message I send out to the world is one of abundance, of love, of acceptance, because I'm not in the contraction. I'm not in the why me place. I'm not in the negative vibration. I'm not in the wanting, needing place. I've come to the other side of that. And so I generate love. I generate energy because of how I think and feel of myself and the world around me. And so I was guided to, I've been journaling for 3 years. And then it was told to me one night, Dorian, put this into a book. And so I did. And so I chronicled my journey from abuse as a child, and I'm pretty explicit in some of my story. I'm putting it down into a book called Awaken to Life in the Meat Suit. It should be coming out. It's in the editing process now, but it chronicles my journey from abuse to living my life with my family, and then taking a turn for the worse and coming to Costa Rica and learning all the magic. And I have had magical experiences. I have flown. I have had visions. And I share that all in the book. But what I do now is I live a retreat. And so I have a hotel in Costa Rica, the Chorotega Hotel. It's a art and soul and retreat center. And so it was the universe said to me, Dorian, go find a place and people will come. I bought this hotel and we took a year fixing it up. And now we're a bohemian rustic jungle retreat center in the jungle overlooking the ocean. There's waterfalls and rivers nearby, so much wildlife. It is really a remarkable thing. And so we offer times that people want to come individually, or we do periodic retreats. We can do individuals or whatever. And so we've had many people come and they don't know why they came to the hotel till they got up the top of the stairs. And we've had such profound experiences with people coming here and leaving very different from when they arrived. And when I see that, it is better than any reward I've ever had in my life. To see somebody find their way is the most profound experience I think I experience in my life.
Yes, that is true, because joy is definitely contagious, right? And so when you are living in a place of joy and healing, you really want to see others find it for themselves, because you can't give a person your joy. That is a self-discovery journey that,
Right.
has to be taken. And like I say so many times, happiness is an inside job. No one can or is even supposed to make you happy. That's something
Right.
that you get from the inside. And that is something that the power of forgiveness absolutely brings into play. I love how your life has gone from pain to forgiveness to giving to gifting, because that's where you're at now. You are gifting to others that space, that location. So because you have the hotel there, they don't necessarily have to go to a tree house without walls and out in the middle of nowhere, because they can come to your beautiful retreat center. And it's vibrant, it's beautiful. And, that which I've seen, in the video, the virtual, just, puts it on my bucket list for sure.
Yeah, the universe has shown me beautiful things. And so I strive to share that with people. And so I think the gifts that I've learned, I can help people accelerate their work, because it's all our work. Nobody can fix us. We have to fix ourselves. But if somebody can give you some guideposts, a lot of it is we have so much of how we are today and the issues are accumulated over time from childhood. None of the things that happen to us, what we see around us, what we observe in relationships cement into us much more than what we're taught. What we see, we observe. And what people do is who they are.
Yes.
Not what they say.
Yes. Yes, that is so true. And I always reinforce that when I'm speaking to others about how we influence our children, our younger generation, people that are looking, to us for mentorship, people that are looking to us for, to set that example, of love, kindness. And it's not what we say. It's not what we write in our books. It's
Nope.
how we live our lives. It's how we live our lives. And I always say the vibe don't lie.
That's right. Oh, baby, they do not lie. And pay attention to that. We're told, oh, no, everybody deserves a second chance. I don't buy that anymore.
Exactly. You have to just really trust the intuitive instinct within yourself. And if it says stay away, get out, but so many times we want to just give people the benefit of the doubt. We want to just say, oh no, I'm sure this, that, or the next. And granted, sometimes people have bad days. Granted,
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
People are going through things like you said, but also sometimes people are just so wrapped in their own pain, hurt, toxicity. And that saying that goes, hurt people,
Yeah.
that's real. That is
Yeah.
real. And so
Yeah.
you have to, just protect yourself. You have to protect yourself and, pay attention for sure,
Yeah, so I talk about soul vampires. So it takes a lot of work
Oh,
to
yes.
keep your energy up. And so people that aren't doing that are negative, they're not generating life force. So how we can maintain our life force is positive thoughts and feelings generate life force. Negative thoughts and feelings drain life force. So my gas tank is leaking or I'm filling, depending upon where I am. And so people that are habitually negative, they don't have the ability to generate life force because their personalities now, they've been doing it so long, their personality has become this negative thing. And so they come up to you, they stand within a meter of you, and they touch you, and they say, oh, Diane, you wouldn't believe what happened to me, Charles. I was talking with this guy. He just cuts me and does all this, like, blah, 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 this stuff to you. Meanwhile, they're sucking your positive life force away from you. I learned this is so very real. It is very real. So soul vampires it's a word I made up, but it's very real to me in my life's experience. And I can feel that with people. So in my conversation, I walk my way back out of that zone. So
absolutely.
There and I've got to the point, sometimes I'm saying, I'm sorry, you know what? This is not a conversation I'm interested in having right now. And that's pure love to say that.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Definitely. You have to protect yourself. And so even if someone calls me on the phone and blah, 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 the first thing I do is take the phone off of my ear. I put them on speaker, right? And then the next thing that I do is I begin to just tap in on how I'm getting ready to end this call real quick because it's just like,
oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting another call right now. I gotta go.
And it's just like, I just like, you know what? I need to go right now. I need to go. And not only that, when your phone rings, right? When your phone rings, some names you see, you can't wait to pick up. And there are some names you like, yep, you can go straight to the voicemail. Or just whatever. And we have that choice. My mom, wise woman, she says every ringing phone don't have to be answered. And that was even before, voicemail and all of that. She's like, every ringing phone does not have to be answered.
Exactly.
I'll add one to that. Every question doesn't need to be answered.
Absolutely.
So true.
Absolutely.
So true.
Absolutely.
The human condition prompts you to give an answer. I've learned just because you asked me a question does not obligate me in any way, shape, or form to answer that. Freedom in that.
Absolutely.
That is so
And that's power. That's power.
Yes, and there's so many folks out there are looking for places to dump, to vent, and steal your time and go on with their lives. And you're wondering, wait a minute, that wasn't even a productive conversation.
Right. They just stopped at the gas station to fill up for a little bit and then got back on the misery way.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Because I do know Diane and I, we've had the conversations time and time again that how people enter our lives for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And a lot of times their reason has been accomplished and that's it. And it doesn't develop into a season. It's over and done with without a word being spoken. No repeat.
And that is definitely one of the things with, speaking about the power of forgiveness, speaking about pain, because a lot of times when you are in that healing place, it will attract people that are in pain. And so they want your healing. They want what you have without going through the journey of self-discovery, that journey of forgiveness to get it. They just want yours. So it's just
Right.
like you have such peace. You have such joy. I want that. So
Choose it.
yeah, I want to just
That's my answer. Choose it. It's all just
exactly.
the choice. Where I'm at is my choice.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
forgiveness is a choice. And
It's a
I talk with people
choice.
about forgiveness is just a choice. Oh, it's so hard. Well, that's a choice too.
That
How
is,
I am
Absolutely.
about forgiving, I can choose for it to be hard or I can choose for it to be easy. It is my choice. I'm the exclusive decider of that. And I have all the power of heaven and earth to decide that however I want to decide that.
Yes. And I think that right there is a mic drop. I think that right there, I mean, really, forgiveness is a choice. Mic
Yes.
drop. Mic drop. Now, before we go ahead and just wrap it up, I really need you to tell our listeners what the meat suit is, because you said it several
Oh,
times and
yeah.
I was trying to jump in. So when you
Oh, yeah.
say meat suit, explanation, please.
Yes. Sorry about that. It came to me in my awakening. And so in the early on in the journey, I'm like, when this miserable about who I am. And then the voice said, that's not who you are. And I'm like, wait, who said that? And you're alone. It's like, that's not you. And then I have my journal and I'm like, wait, this isn't me. And then I started writing, this is my way, this is my means, this is my truth, this is my ability, this is my love, this is my sight. And I started listing all the things that my body was. None of that was who I am. And so then it came to me like, this is my meat suit. Carne asada aquí, por favor. So, and so I joke about the body is my meat suit because what happened here, and that's why I chose the name of my book. I'm in the jungle of Costa Rica, and I awakened one day and realized I'm stuck in this little container here. I'm in this body, and I'm all this stuff, and then I've learned about the meat suit. So we are assigned, like if you come to Costa Rica, sometime you get a rent a car, same deal. When you incarnate on Earth, you get one of these bodies I call the meat suit. It's really a data collection, transportation, communication device for the eternal being that we are.
Love
And
it.
so it's a data collection. All of our senses are observation systems of the environment around us. Our
Mm-hmm.
eyes, ears, nose, our heart, our skin, our mind, our everything are data collection systems. And they collect information and they give it to us so we can see where we are and how we are in the world. The thing about the meat suit is it learns how you think and feel about yourself. So
Yes.
over time, it knows how you respond to all of these stimuli. So it goes on autopilot. And that's how the meat suit lives your life. Your meat suit and your ego are buddy buddy. Your spirit isn't connected to your meat suit. Your spirit is connected through your mind to the meat suit. And so the ego is there as the one side, the spirit on the other side, and the mind is the middle guy fighting over the meat suit. And so
Wow.
I learned I'm not my meat suit. And there was this whole thing with stillness meditations, how I learned, I'm not that thing.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And that, wow, that's amazing because we all find our unique ways and how we can get to our center, how we can get to that balance, how we can get to that other side of whatever our Achilles heel may be.
Right. And so the shift is when I realize, oh, wait, it's all coming from the inside. Nothing is
Mm.
coming from out there. Everything is coming from inside because how I see everything out there comes from the inside. How I think and feel about myself programs the meat suit to see the world in a certain way. And the meat suit only goes out to look for specific things to validate what you currently think you are. It's not objectively seeing the world. It's how I say the world is. It goes to look for that to confirm for you things are exactly how you say they are. So choose a beautiful world and you'll see it out there.
Exactly. I totally agree. I totally agree. And choose ease and flow, and you will have that in your life. Choose forgiveness, and your
Choose, baby,
life
choose.
will
Yes.
be better. So, with
Yes.
that, I would just like to ask, what love drop would you like to leave for our listeners?
Forgive and your life will be better.
Yes, love it.
No, that is fantastic.
I love that. That is, and that is powerful. And that's powerful. And you're living it. That is
Yes.
what you are living.
Right.
Yes.
The other part is forgive and you will live.
Yes.
Forgive and you will live.
Yes. Love that, Charles.
Yes. And with those words of wisdom and those love drops, I know our listening audience would want to get in touch with you as well with the wealth of knowledge that you contain. And I'll have to ask this question. What is the best way for our listening audience to get in touch with you?
So they could come through my website at the hotel is thechorotega.com, TheChorotega.com. Or you could look me up at my name, Dorian.Delaurier at gmail.com. DORIAN, the last one's tough, DESLAURIERS at gmail.com. All inquiries are welcome.
Awesome. Oh, wonderful. And okay, so one last thing before we close out. Are you having any events that our listeners may be intrigued by there at the hotel? Are there any upcoming events? And also, name of your book. And if you have a release date, that'd be great. If not, we can circle back to that another time.
So I have a men's retreat coming up in September. And then we're planning to do 4 retreats a year based on men's spirituality. It's an area that we want to focus. And then we're going to do some couples retreats also on communication. The name of my book is Awaken to Life in the Meat Suit. It's with the editors right now and hoping to be publishing it in the next couple of months.
Awesome. And so when you publish your book, it'll be available through your website?
So I have another website that I haven't activated yet. It's the book,
Okay.
awakentolifeinthemeatsuit.com. I'm going to actually do it through that.
Okay, awesome. So I tell you what we'll do is we'll put the website to the hotel, and then once the book comes out, you'll get me that link, and then we will add it to the episode. I'm thinking episode will probably be coming out in November. But in the meantime, in between time, I just want to thank you, Dorian, for jumping on with Charles and I and just sharing your journey. We thank you so much for your time. That is non-refundable, and we appreciate it. And your energy, man. I appreciate your energy. You and that meat suit. And Charles.
Oh, yes, just fantastic. If I would have been tempted to write down what you were saying, that would have been a loss. Completely.
Well, thank you for your kindness. I really enjoyed this, and I really, really appreciate the opportunity to share my message, because it is what my purpose in my life is now, is to help people find their way to love themselves and to forgive everything, because forgiveness is the key. At least from my experience in my life, I had a difficult life, and so my journey was to learn forgiveness in this lifetime, and I believe I've learned forgiveness, and now I teach it. The more you teach, the more you learn.
The more you teach, the more you learn. That is absolutely right. Awesome. So with that, we just tell our listeners to check out Dorian. We'll have his website for the hotel in the narrative, and be on the lookout for that book that's coming in the next few months. We'll put a link there once it comes, so check back for that. And if this podcast resonates, be sure that you subscribe and share. And until next time, Charles and I say, one love.
Never a second will I waste, never an opportunity to taste the sweetness of this life.
Thank you for tuning in to the Love Drops podcast. Be sure to follow this podcast and share the love with everyone you know. Until next time, this is Charles and Diane signing off. One love.
Love it conquers all, whether big or small. Love never fails. Oh, love it conquers all. Love never